So here's my whole deal. I'm just trying to keep living. I don't even know why, other than, well, that's what you're supposed to do. And plus, I have this idea about you can't really escape anything because you're going to reincarnate. So you would still have to face whatever it is you're trying to escape. Just have to start over again. Oh man, I don't want to keep starting over again. Whatever it is, I gotta. That's why I just try to work through everything just so that I can. Well, I'm the kind of person I'd rather just plunge into it and get it over with than to drag it out for. Maybe I learned that from already having lived a billion lives over and over and over. Who knows? I don't know. But man. But yeah, we're not living the greatest life here in the United States. For one thing, it's not a United States. It's seems like I stepped into a different timeline where everything is like negative land. It's like, yeah. Because I don't, the way I grew up, immigrants were good. I grew up in right after WW2, and my father was a veteran. He WW2 veteran, King of the Hill. The WW2 veterans could even yell at cops. I remember there was a time, I don't know, I don't even remember, I was too little to even know what was going on. I just remember, I think the cop must have pulled him over, and I don't know, WW2 veterans had such status then because they were perceived to have saved the world. They saved the world. So my father could yell at a cop like, "Listen here, sonny boy, I know, whatever, blah." You know, that doesn't happen now. So there's been a loss of freedom in that regard. Now the police public relationship is you need to adhere to their authority, whereas before it was the general public who were the authority. I don't know. Doesn't seem it's so like I stepped into a different timeline. You know, these things apparently that's something that can happen. My vibrations changed and I'm in a different timeline. Well, I would like to move into a more positive timeline, so that's why I try to focus on the more positive aspects of my life, because I have noticed that in the periods when I've focused on the negative and get depressed, yeah, I seem to attract more negativity into my life. So, if nothing else, it's worth giving a shot, huh? I'm 66 years old, might as well give it a shot. Doesn't hurt to try. I can always go back to my old ways. That's my reigning philosophy. I'll give it a try. I can always go back to how whatever it was I was doing. If I don't like it, I'll always try things. I'll always try, period. I don't know what that is in me. I got that from my mother. She was like that. Man, you talk about someone who had a hard life. Whoa. I mean, she wasn't nice to me. She was a narcissist who completely ignored me and barely even noticed my existence and dumped me off at a Catholic boarding school when I was 7. But aside from that, here she was a vital, pretty woman, and she ended up becoming a vegetable like cripple. And I had to watch the whole process, so I have that in my memory banks too. She was always in pain and having to get shots, and there's a lot of screaming. And She just didn't like me, and that's the weirdest thing. How can you not like your own kid? Seems like I treated my cats better than she ever treated me. What a weird thing that is. And I don't understand it because she was apparently friends with her own mother. She named me after her. I don't get it. I just don't get it. But that's another weird thing I think about too is I don't know. I can only vouch for the period of time that I've been alive, but it seems like current generations don't like upcoming generations. I mean, I'm not even too sure which generation I am. I was kind of in between generations. They made up a name. They called us the Generation Jones, in between the baby boomers and Gen X. 10 years, 10 years behind the first wave of boomers, 10 years ahead of the first wave of X's. So they called us Generation Jones. They just made that up. That's okay. I don't mind having a, hey, we just made it up generation because that kind of sounds suitable for my experience. It's like, yeah. Seems like when I was a kid, we had to pay the price for the older generations. It's like, well, you're not going to grow up like those hippies did. You ain't going to turn out like that. So they hit us more. That's my perception. And I talked to someone at work, and they seem to have shared the same experience. So, because I said to her, because she referred to herself as a baby boomer, I'm like, you're not a baby boomer. She's a few years younger than me. It's like, you're not a baby boomer. You're a Generation Jones. We were jonesing so that we could jonesing to have a life half as good as what the baby first wave of baby boomers had. Huh. That was a slang of the era, jonesing for like desiring. Yeah, but in any case, but yeah, I've definitely noticed the intergenerational animosity. I experienced it myself too. I always consider myself an open-minded person, and I tried to be open-minded to the Gen, excuse me, the Gen Xers when they were, young teenagers in this punk scene. But I don't know, I did kind of grow to maybe resent them somewhat because they were resenting on me, called us old people. It's like, come on, man. I wasn't even 30 years old, and you're referring to me as an old person. And honestly, that has stuck with me for all of my life. I don't know if that was the sole reason, but I never felt like I got to be young. I didn't, not in any kind of good way, anyway. Well, that's a whole other story that I don't want to get into because then we'll just dwell in that negativity that I'm trying to escape from. But yeah, they had these weird ideas. Like, there was this one guy, I forget his, he came back into the punk rock scene again after I came into the Folsom Little Village scene back in the, what was that, early 2000s. Well, not mid 2000s. It's probably around 2006, 2007, 2008 era. But anyway, he had this idea that I didn't like Space Place. That was one of the, underage clubs here in Chicago area. Well, just in Chicago, punk only existed in the city, really. Well, that's not true either. I don't know, just floated around, but mainly in the city of Chicago. In any case, it's like he just assumed and kept saying it, even though it's like I got all these space place flyers and talked about it in my zine and talked about it in general, and yet, yeah, I was prejudiced against you, you young people. Yeah, I was hating on you. I just get so tired of people and their assumptions. They make baseless judgments. I just get so tired of punk rock. It was supposed to be anti-judgments, but it was pretty much all judgment. It was all judgment. The punks themselves were judgmental. Everybody was in their own little cliques. I don't know. I don't understand that about human beings, how no matter what, we just can't seem to get along, can we? I just don't get it. No matter, I don't know, we just seem to always need to differentiate. It's the ego identity. That's what it is. It's like everybody has their own separate little ego and they need to defend their turf. It's like, jeez. It's gotten pretty old in the 21st century, hasn't it? It just seems like the whole idea of this overbearing dominance, it just seems ridiculous at this point, and yet here we are, going in deeper, huh? I don't get it. But I don't know. I'm nearing the end of my life, and in old age, you start regarding things in a different way. And all I can think is, why? Why? Why are we hating on each other? Why do we hate on the planet that's Mother Earth? Why are we hating on women? Why do we hate people who are different from us? Why would we want everybody to be exactly the same? How boring would that be? I just don't get it. I'm going to leave it there for right now, anyway. Maybe I'll be back again. Who knows? I'll be back, but this may or may not be the end of the video. If the ending comes up, then you know it's the end of the video. So I'll leave that for both of us to decide when the time comes. Bye. Or not. Okay, I just thought of the most fun way to end the video. I'm gonna include, I just found the old footage from shows I went to when, oh God, it must have been about 2007 through maybe 2012 at the latest. And that would be the last video, would have been the later one. That one was shot at on a actual smartphone, I do believe, whereas the others were all flip phones. Flip phones, that's right. So it's raw footage. Yeah, hardcore. That was from the Pilsen Little Village scene. Good times.